How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have the second war of season 41 up against the War Champs GT40, and today I'm bringing in a new rank 4. Well, he's not that new to me. I actually took him up about a month ago. I just haven't done anything big with him yet, so a lot of people don't know that I have a rank 4 torch besides the ones I've faced in Battlegrounds over the past month. So today I'm running Path 5 with Negative and the Hood as I often do, but I also have a Mephisto to deal with, which is why I'm bringing Torch, and then there'll be a mini boss for each of them. So today we are starting off with a Hulkling with Ebb and Flow Knockdown, Right Back at It, and Force of Will. Very common placement. Even before Planetary and Subdue I was using Hood for this fight. And it was actually easier because they weren't immune to Nullify or Stagger, which is Hood's main form of buff control. Well, besides the Fate Seal of the Special 2. But the Fate Seal of the Special 2 is still just so good. I actually rarely use Subdue attackers, and when I do it's usually Scorpion or Gallon for immunities or other utility. But when it comes to the mystics like Sorcerer, Chavez or Diablo, I haven't used any of them because Hood still just works so well for all these annoying cosmics. And then some, because next up we have a Kingpin, a champion who has no buffs, well, besides the Unstoppable from the heavy attack or special 2, but I don't think I even triggered that more than once. And he does have heavy hitter, which makes him go passively unstoppable, so I can't just punish his heavy attack. But it's still very easy to get your openings with Hood thanks to invisibility. And it also just makes it safer to intercept, because you know, even if you don't time it right, you will still miss at least twice. So I did stick to baiting special 1 just to keep it simple and safe. Although the special 2 is not much of a threat for Hood since he has invisibility if he can't fully dex, and the Stagger or Fate Seal will prevent unstoppable or overpower buffs. And this is one of those fights where I end up using and losing almost all my bullets, but I wasn't concerned because this is the last non-ideal Hood fight, as in the next one will have plenty of buffs so I can get all my bullets back. So I'm just gonna drop one more special 2 for good measure, and this one will actually disable the Ebb and Flow node, because Hood's Fate Seal also lowers ability accuracy, which is why I think it's arguably the most powerful Fate Seal in the entire game. Even though it's only a 65% reduction, it comes in very handy more often than not, and it doesn't just work on defensive abilities. Next up we have Dr. Doom with Ebb and Flow Knockdown, Right Back at It, and Aggression Prowess. Pretty standard fight for Negative, I have done it a bunch of times. So all I have to do is build up my energy and get to 3 bars of power, then I'm gonna knock him down and then drop the special 3. And now I actually don't even need to drop the heavy attack to knock him down to disable Ebb and Flow. The special 3 will do it on activation now, but I still like knocking him down with the heavy just for the fury buff, because it does increase the damage quite a bit. For this Doom it wasn't necessary, he only had about 150k health, but I have forgotten a few times and just do it out of habit. But the main reason why I like doing it is because it just looks more stylish. So now I'm at 3 bars of power, just gotta build up a little bit more light energy, dex a special attack and remove the precision, so no MD. So one more parry evade, and then parry heavy to get that fury buff. And that's pretty much it. Doom isn't the tankiest, well he is pretty tanky, but not against Negative because of the way he delivers his damage. He doesn't really care about resistances since most of his damage is direct damage. And one special 3 does about 150,000 health, which was more than his total health. So yeah, that fight was pretty standard for Negative, and now we have another very common fight, or placement rather, and that is Ebony with Scared Stiff, Power Focus 2, and Bubble Shield. This is a fight that I've done several times. Just this month alone, I've taken it many other times before this, and it makes sense why he's placed here. You know, Ebony can be very annoying with these node combinations. He gets more power gain and his specials can be already quite annoying to deal with. You can't parry stun his first medium, so you tend to just feed Bubble Shield more naturally compared to most champs. And of course there's the root node, which can be very difficult to avoid if you can't play aggressively enough. And Ebony is one of those champs that can sort of slow you down, especially with the falter. But if you have a decent counter and are decent at fighting more, it's not too bad. A Negative is a very decent counter. Like, he actually makes root fun for me because I can always play around with the evade to get out of it, or just dex a lot to build energy faster. As you saw, you could even argue that the root made this fight a little bit faster for me. And all you need is one special 2 and he just melts. You don't even need to optimize the dark energy because you already take so much additional damage from Negative Sig, which he doesn't really need, but it does help his damage quite a bit when he's immune to stuff like Nullify. So now moving on to section 2, we have the first human torch fight. And it's Mephisto, so he's just gonna get nuked in less than 30 seconds. I mean, this is a pretty perfect matchup. I don't know how you can possibly die to this Mephisto unless you don't use torches pre-fight, but even then it's probably still doable. It'll just take a lot longer baiting all those special attacks. But yeah, this is one of those ebb and flow intercept fights where you don't even need to intercept, because Mephisto just feeds your smolders so quickly, the damage just goes through the roof. And at first I was considering taking this fight with negative, then save torches pre-fight for Absman next, but then I realized Mephisto would probably take longer than Absman if I used negative, so might as well nuke the Fisto and negate the abs, I guess. This is also becoming a very common placement, Absorbing Man on either 37 or 39, Intercept and Mighty Charge. So it's kind of similar to the right back at it fights in section 1, but I like to intercept early to get that passive fury just so I can do more damage throughout the fight. So I'm gonna be building up to the special 3 while building the energy, of course, making sure I don't get too much before I convert, just to make sure they don't expire. And I would have liked to first push him to 2 bars of power so he doesn't refine his form, but it's not a big deal either way. I don't even need to block in this fight. I could have punished the special with the heavy attack to disable it, but I do like to save that just in case something goes horribly wrong for some reason. Usually I just alternate the special attacks I bait and then save the punishing for only when I really need it. So now he has 2 bars of power but still in Uru form, so he will switch to Magna. So I don't need to disable anything yet, he'll just switch back to Uru. And I'm almost at 3 bars of power with almost all my energy built up, so one more conversion and then I can drop a special 3 with the Intercept Fury. And one thing I should have done here, something I only started doing a bit more recently, is still dropping the heavy attack before the special 3, just to squeeze out a bit more damage from it. Because with all the regen, the special 3 was quite close to not taking him out. Because usually by the time I throw it, their health is significantly lower than this, but the regen kind of just helps to counteract that a bit. So now we have one more negative fight, another pretty common placement, and that's going to be Longshot with Ebb and Flow Intercept, Mighty Charge, and Crumbling Armor. And I could have done this fight with Torch as well, even with Mighty Charge. He is a mystic and I would need to block a lot either way, so getting into Nova would not be too difficult. But I still went with negative because he's just safer and more efficient, I guess. Don't have to worry about MD or Pure of Hearts, getting all those incinerates, since negative is immune to Fate Seal, so it's a very controlled fight. But unlike Absman, I don't have to worry about which special attack to bait, and Longshot has no regen, so he will go down a lot faster. In fact, I'm already about halfway through my ramp up, and he's already lost a significant amount of health, so I didn't even bother building all the way up to a special 3 despite Mighty Charge. I still went with the special 2 because I figured even if he dashes at me and purifies all those debuffs, most of the damage would have already been done. But if he doesn't dash at me, then he'll go down fairly quickly. Which is what happened here. He decided to be a good boy and just throw a special 1, so no purifying before the degens can take him out. Alright, so that's section 2, and now moving on to some mini-bosses. We first have King Groot on node 50, Safeguard, Indomitable, Vigorous Assault, and Recovery. So this used to be a very common placement back in the Conduit days, even unsteady to a certain extent, although now it's not as common since King Groot is not a tactic defender. But the Hood has always been my go-to counter for him because he just bypasses so much in this fight, like he counters pretty much all the nodes. I don't have to parry because I have invisibility, I've got great buff control, so Vigorous Assault and Recovery is not really an issue. And I can also bypass Safeguard because the Fate Seal lowers ability accuracy by 65%. But I don't need to rely on that because either way the Hex detonation is not affected by Safeguard. And King Groot generates so many buffs that even though I only started with 2 bullets, all I had to do was just stagger some Fury buffs to get a bunch of them back. And thanks to Dispersion, my power just shoots up, so I had to drop a special 3 before I can really start getting into the fight. I used to lower my MD to level 3 for this fight because sometimes the Fury buffs just give you way too much power depending on how many you stagger, but I have gotten a bit better at managing that with higher Dispersion. And also the Fate Seal can help just to reduce the power because it does completely bypass him gaining buffs to begin with. So once I drop that special 2, the fight just becomes a lot more controlled and flows better. So now it's a very simple fight. I can parry, drop full combos, bait a special attack, could even bait a special 2 since he won't go unblockable, and just keep feeding him those bullets until I have about at least 20. I did detonate slightly early just to see how much he would take because he was already at about 50%. But that left him at about 12%, so I'm just gonna drop 1 or 2 more combos and then a special 1 to finish him off. So not the quickest one, but a full yellow bar and a couple of bullets left over. So now we have one more fight, which is gonna be America Chavez, a champ I've fought quite a lot in Alliance War over the past year. Probably more than anyone else in DSVG because she's often placed somewhere on path 5, and I'm always running negative, so I don't have to think much about it. But today she is on node 53, Stunning Reflection and Polka Dot Power, and that's one node combination that negative just doesn't work for. However, Torch works pretty well for it, even if she does throw a bunch of heavy attacks, trigger the negative zone multiple times, and I am going to take an unblockable special 2 to the face. I did try to fully dex it, but my timing was not quite on point, and it does deal secondary damage or red numbers, so I do lose a bit of health despite my invulnerability, but nothing crazy, and it is a relatively quick fight, so not too bad. And that's it for my war, the second war of season 41, and unfortunately we just lost this one on time. We both had 4 deaths. But anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Hope you found it interesting, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.